Government has completely failed to do it for over 5 decades. I know I'm preaching to the choir here, but I know every one of us has friends that kind of sit on the fence, that don't understand exactly everything that's going on. And our real mission is to come to places like this to get some information. You can come to the StopTaxingUs.com website, you can get information there, and to take this information and to deliver it to our friends who are on the fence so we can help them see the light. Because if we continue to give more to government, we will head down a path of unfortunate no return. The battle lines are drawn right here today on July 4th. Thank you very much. Next, we have Larry Naratelli speaking about cap and trade and his son Joe and Zach holding the flag and the Constitution. Greetings. I want to thank everyone for coming out here today. I've been to some of these tea parties and I've seen a lot of you people there and met a lot of you folks, and I have to say that everyone is very eloquent in their protesting, in their signs, and what they have to say to the government. And we had a tea party last week in Escondido, and there's a video online that you can go and see. And if you type in "Hear Our Message" on YouTube, you're going to see a lot of great American patriots there. So I encourage everyone here to do that and send that website off to your congressman when you get home tonight, and show them the video too. It's very patriotic and I think you'll like it. Today I'm going to give you a speech here today that my son Joe helped me write, and we put in a little bit of the American Constitution and some of the words of our founding fathers in here, and part of the Declaration of Independence in honor of this day. So I'd like to begin. Sorry for that.
Sorry, my wedding ring.
11 score and 13 years ago, our founding fathers brought forth on this continent a nation conceived of liberty and devoted to the proposition that all men are created equal. The principles and values that our nation was founded on have lasted 233 years. But today, in modern times, these American qualities have become disbanded by the very government that created them. Our Constitution grants the people political power and established concepts to govern the government, not the people. Political leaders in Washington seem to have forgotten that they work for us, that when they win an election, the position they take is not a tribute, but a responsibility and a privilege for which they must uphold. We do not send them to Washington just to think up reasons to tax us. We do stand by here today and observe as our wealth and political power is stolen from us by those who are elected to represent us. Like our forefathers before us today, we will unite our nation to this cause, defending and protecting our liberties, principles, and values, that no person shall be robbed of his or her success only to give failure another chance to fail, that there shall be no ruler above the people, that the people shall not be taken of their wealth for pretended promises, that the prosperous framework of capitalism shall not be obliterated for the slavery of socialism, that true republicanism shall never perish from these United States. As said in the Declaration of Independence, we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. Now, does it seem to you that Congress has forgotten this fact? Yes. The members of Congress seem to have lost their way. They are no longer listening to their constituents, but to the political propaganda of the foreign interest groups. Henry Waxman recently claimed that the cap-and-trade legislation had everything in it that the IPCC wanted. Not what the American people wanted, but what the foreign interest groups wanted. It sends American jobs overseas and gives foreign regulators the power to impose taxes over all of us.
Fire Waxman!
Yeah, we're going to fire Waxman in 2010 for sure. over a week ago, the House of Representatives, under the leadership of Speaker Pelosi, voted on this bill to impose the greatest tax increase in the history of the world on the American people. It is a regressive tax that hits lower and middle income families the most. Now, we aren't really meant to understand that, because Speaker Pelosi makes sure that no one has a time to read the bill before they vote on it. In fact, this bill was originally called a gas tax, then a carbon tax, then cap and trade, and finally the clean energy bill. The politicians like to change the meaning of things when they don't want you to know what they are doing. Well, a tax is a tax is a tax. Call it what you will, Nancy Pelosi, but cap and trade is a tax, and it is a big one. The truth about cap and trade can be summed up in one word: Enron. That's right, Enron. Cap and trade is the same financial scam that was used to drive up electric rates across California by the crooks at Enron. Now the federal government wants to use this method as a means to tax everything we do by hiding it under the mantra of clean alternative energy. Alternative energy, now that's a real interesting term. Alternative doesn't really describe the energy, it just says it's an alternative. A better term would be expensive energy or inefficient energy. It is an alternative to fossil fuels, but just costs a whole lot more. The politicians claim that by switching to it, it will bring down the cost of energy, but that makes no sense. Wind power and solar power are 20 times more expensive than fossil fuels. By switching to inefficient and costly sources of energy production, the government is driving up the price of energy, not bringing it down. Our electric bills will quadruple if 20% of our power comes from expensive alternatives. Windmills are a 10th century technology, not a 21st century one. The government is trying to finance unprofitable alternatives with high taxes across the board on everything we do. Switching to wind power is nothing more than a political payoff to President Obama's media propaganda machine at General Electric. It is a waste of taxpayer dollars and creates huge deficits every time the wind blows. Solar panels are also very expensive. The subsidies for solar panels drain resources from other programs to fund the losses of the inefficient energy production. Additionally, water resources are diverted away from crops and productive farmland, causing a devaluation of real estate values and massive job losses. None of these alternative energy sources provides fuel for our transportation industry. Indeed, upon realizing this fact, the politicians decided to force the automobile industry to invent electric cars, only to find out that gasoline-powered engines are technologically superior. The government's intrusion caused the American auto industry to collapse, once again sending jobs overseas and selling off the assets piecemeal to foreign interests. Alternative energy will not make us less dependent on foreign oil. Developing our own domestic oil resources will. The current administration has become obsessed with power. Every bill that comes out of the Pelosi Congress imposes huge tax increases on everything. She wants to legislate our rights away and enslave us to foreign dictators and left-wing oligarchs. She wants a